2024. I know we have a few more hours to go, but Alhamdulillah, we are here, and I am hopeful that the Almighty will allow all of us to cross over to 2025. It's been an eventful year. On our side, we remember with heavy, very heavy hearts our loved ones that have departed, more especially our Deputy President, my Deputy President, Mama Jolly Mujisha, who we lost this year. We continue to keep her in our thoughts, and many other comrades and family members that we lost. We pray for them and we hold them in the deepest and warmest parts of our hearts. 2024 has been a year of trials, of challenges, and of lessons. We've experienced a lot, we've learned a lot, but also 2024 has revealed a lot to us as Ugandans. I'll very briefly talk about the main events of 2024, or what shook the nation most. Of course, first and foremost is the corruption that continues to mess up our country, that continues to be a cancer in our country. We continue to see one scandal after another in Uganda, most especially in the parliament, regrettably so. We saw the Speaker of Parliament, Madam Anita Among, pocketing billions of taxpayers' money, of course, with protection from the state. We talked about this, but for a long time they dismissed us as just opposition talk, as political talk, until the young people of Uganda, branded as tribeless, partyless, took to the streets. They organized the march to Parliament in protest to the gross corruption that was going on under the watch of Madam Anita Among. You saw the young people protesting. Many of them were jailed, arrested, tortured. Sadly, some of our young people were sodomized in custody. This was a shameful thing that the regime has tried so much to sweep under the carpet, but until we expose it, is only when it's going to be stopped. Many young people were kept in jail as a way to discourage them from ever standing up against corruption. One of our comrades, Sammy of the Mighty Family, was the last one to be released. On an even more sad note, the National Unity Platform was very disappointed to learn that even our then Deputy President was involved in this corruption scandal, this money heist at Parliament. We were disappointed to learn that he sat together with other parliamentary commissioners and awarded himself 500 million, which they claimed that it was a retirement benefit. Even if he gave himself that money, only 11 months in office, he had not even made a year. Anyway, as a National Unity Platform, we had to stand firm. So we called him out on that. We asked him to return the taxpayers' money, apologize, and resign his position at the commission. As expected, the regime protected him, and as we speak, he is still in the parliamentary commission, even when the party that appointed him to go there recalled his name. But we do what we can do against the corruption until we have the full capacity to weed it out. We've continued in 2024 to see a worrying state of our economy. We've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of young people daily leaving our country, jumping on planes to go to Arab countries, searching for greener pastures. We see lines and lines of very young boys constantly seen and heard stories of torture, stories of dehumanization of our people. Unfortunately, there are reports of very, very minimal or zero assistance from our embassies in these countries. Of course, because our embassies have been reduced to spy agencies of the regime internationally. One of the most embarrassing things that we saw this year was the flawed national census. Uganda carried out a national census this year, but we saw reports from the field that many enumerators were not paid, many gadgets were malfunctional, many citizens, a huge chunk of citizens, were not even counted. And at the end, when the final report came, we saw glaring inaccuracies and questionable statistics. Some communities of Uganda were shocked to be informed that they only reduced in the past 10 years. They only died. They did not procreate. They did not produce any children. Of course, it was very embarrassing, but so are the goings on in Uganda. Moreover, this became even more embarrassing because they had a whole decade to prepare, a whole 10 years to prepare, and that is what would come out. Goes further to expose the incompetencies of this regime. So incompetent to carry out such a national project upon which so much planning of the nation is based, and then it comes out inaccurate. Very, very limited reflection of what the reality is within the country. This year, 2024, we continue to see the presence of the Ugandan military in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We all remember that this began in November 2021 under the claim of pursuing ADF rebels. You saw bombs going off in Kampala, and very, very quickly our military was deployed in the Democratic Republic of Congo in November 2021. It's 2024 now, but we have had reports, including a United Nations report accusing Uganda of supporting M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo, of stealing natural resources and minerals from the Congo. Now, this is a UN report. We all should remember that the last time our military went to the Congo, they plundered Congo, stole natural resources, timber and minerals. They raped women and carried out a whole lot of gross human rights violations. And we were dragged to the International Court of Justice. The Ugandan taxpayer was condemned to pay to the tune of 1.2 trillion shillings to the Democratic Republic of Congo. In simple terms, they went, they plundered, we paid, or we are paying. This money that we are condemned to pay, it is you, my fellow Ugandan, and your child and your grandchild that are going to pay. So now we can all imagine what is going to come out of our presence in the Congo right now. If the UN report has claimed that Uganda is involved in plundering Congo again and supporting rebels in a foreign land again, you and I can now imagine what to expect. Fellow citizens, this year we continue to see tragic disasters, and sadly most of them were avoidable. We saw garbage slide in Chitezi, where official reports show that more than 30 lives were lost, but on ground, the claims show that many more people died, and some are actually suspected to still be buried under the garbage. The whole village was covered by garbage, and this was a result of mismanagement of garbage. We saw in Chigogwa a fuel tanker exploding and killing. Official reports show us that is where we are, and that is the kind of leadership that is imposed on us. In 2024, and this is important to remind fellow Ugandans, that our public debt grew to over 97 trillion. Now this is almost double our national budget. 55 trillion of this money is borrowed from those countries that Museveni calls foreign meddlers. Now, you all can tell the hypocrisy. When he is borrowing money in your name, the money that you are going to pay, he calls them development partners. But when they call him out on abuse of human rights and democracy, he calls them foreign meddlers. That's the hypocrite that rules over us and shows more need and more urgency to get rid of him as soon as we can. We've again seen rising abductions in Uganda. Very unfortunately, we've exported the same nasty habit to even our neighbors in Kenya. We've seen so many abductions. Many of our people are still missing. But the most recent is the abduction of Dr. Kizza Besigye from Kenya. Dr. Besigye and Haji Obed Mutale from Kenya. They were illegally abducted from Kenya, brought to Uganda against international law, without any, extradition, legal extradition arrangements. They were brought to Kenya and court-martialed. Of course, we continue to condemn that, but condemning it is not enough. We must fight to practically put it to an end. Because now, we, the people that used to export positivity, we are exporting abduction. And the cancer is slowly catching in Kenya. We continue to see people imprisoned because of their conscience. So many political prisoners are still in prison. The nation was shocked to see 19 of our comrades coerced into accepting crimes they did not commit. Among these is the renowned Olivia Rutaya, who was coerced and told that she either had to plead guilty or die in prison. Because she saw no hope of getting justice, she was cornered to plead guilty. And this includes 18 others, to make a total of 19. However, there are those that refused, and these include Kalanzi, Sheriff, they include Machete Yasin, they include Emma Kato and others. We stand with them. We continue to call for their freedom because they did not commit no crime like the regime is intending to force them to accept. We also have many other comrades that are political prisoners that are kept in prison because of bogus claims. People like Bobby Young, people like Muyodi, and many others. We stand with them and we call for their freedom. I must also mention the selective prosecution. We've seen so many people paid by the regime to hurl obscenities to regime critics. Some of them have even been rewarded by sounding government positions just because they are abusive, they are insulting, and they use nasty, obscene words against the opponents of the regime, but they've been rewarded. But there's a young man called Musuza Juma, also known as Madubala. He continues to rot in prison for speaking or for being regarded abusive to the regime. We condemn that. We call for equality. We call for justice for everybody. But most importantly, we call for the joining of hands to remove this immoral and oppressive regime of General Museveni and his fellow thieves. We must save our country, otherwise justice won't be served. Those that do wrong will be rewarded, and those that do right will be punished. This year, 2024, we saw Uganda being struck off African Growth Opportunities Act, the USA, AGOA. Uganda was scrapped off, and this was prompted by human rights abuses, by disregard of the rule of law, and all the wrong things that the regime do. What does this mean? This means that more than 6,000 of Uganda's products now can no longer have duty-free access to the world's biggest economy. Yes, it's a loss to Uganda. It's also a blow to this regime as we seek to discredit it further. You saw Museveni sending his son-in-law to go and plead, but it was unsuccessful. We continue to advise him that the best way to plead is to do the right thing, because we live in a global community and we should be judged by similar standards, especially in regards to humanity and the rule of law. This year, our common people continue to suffer, and I'll talk about coffee. Coffee this year was dealt a blow. The regime ignored nationwide protests from farmers and went ahead and scrapped the Uganda Coffee Development Authority and handed its operations to the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, as a result, we all know that over 12 million coffee growers in Uganda are at risk. People and try to take over that, so that with gold, it's only his family that deals in gold, so that with cotton, so that with vanilla, and now it is with coffee. You've already seen his family and close allies trying to, monopolize coffee, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, because Museveni wants to control the income of Uganda, wherever there is money, he wants to control it. Now he is seeking to control coffee at the cost of the citizens. But does he care? Because he doesn't. That is not all, as if that is not annoying enough. This year, we saw General Museveni appoint his son, the Chief of Defense Forces, the commander of the national military. Now, this, to all that ever doubted, this finally removed doubt, any kind of doubt about Museveni's intention to turn Uganda into a presidential monarch. I've said it many times to fellow Ugandans that if you want to know what is in the mind of the Museveni family, just open Twitter or X and read the tweets of his son. The CDF, not only are they immature or thoughtless, but they are extremely tribalistic. He seems to speak for the Museveni family and informing all and sundry that it's only his tribesmen and women that are full human beings. That we condemn, but like I said, we don't only condemn it, we call upon all Ugandans to stand against this nonsense, because Uganda belongs to all Ugandans, and all Ugandans are equal before and under the law, regardless of their tribe or ethnicity, regardless of their religion, regardless of their gender, regardless of their background. So we condemn the tribalistic tendencies of the Museveni regime as exposed through his son's drunk tweeting. This year, we saw Justice Kisache, Justice of the Supreme Court, run into exile. Now, this that gave a dissenting judgment in the presidential petition of 2021, but she has since faced persecution, and it was reported recently that her life was in danger and she had to run into exile. Now imagine Justice of the Supreme Court running into exile. This is a stark reminder of the regime's attack on independent institutions and on anybody that dares to do what's right. This should remind all of us the urgency of freeing this, our country. Many things of disappointing nature happened, but ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you as we close this year that there is hope. There is hope. We see it everywhere. This year we had a nationwide tour amid these challenges, amid this constant interruption by the regime, police and military, amid this tear gas and all that. We had a nationwide tour, and for us what we got was so much courage, so much motivation from the population. The massive welcome that we got from all regions that we visited reminded us that the population is with us. So there is hope, and let us keep the hope alive. This year, I survived another assassination. They hit my leg, I was hospitalized, I moved on crutches, and thanks to the Almighty God, I am now well. That shows you that God is on our side, and when God is on our side, it doesn't matter who is against us. This year, the National Unity Platform opened the School of Leadership, and this year we passed our first cohort of leaders. So that also continues to remind us that we are taking the right steps in the right direction, and it gives us hope. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we close this year, we salute all of you. To all of you fellow Ugandans here in Uganda and abroad that have stood with us, guided us positively and constructively, criticized us, advised us, we thank you. We salute you. To all those that have had challenges, let us use those challenges to be better. Let us use the lessons and experiences of 2024 to bounce back bigger and better and stronger. Let's go into 2025 determined to make the best out of it and to make it a turning point of our lives and of the political future of our country. I will be speaking to you in the first week of January 2025 to share my insights and thoughts of the new year. But for now, I just want to thank you very much for staying alive, for staying positive, for staying moral, and for staying patriotic. I wish you a very happy 2025, and may God bless all the works of your hands. And may 2025 be a transformative year and a year of turning tables. Thank you very much for God and my country. Nsanyuse nnyo okubalabako mwenna abaganda baffe bannamawulire ne bannayuganda bannaffe mwe abali wano naffe leero abali mu ggwanga lyaffe Uganda n'abo abali ebweru w'eggwanga tubalamusaako era tubayozaayoza okumalako omwaka guno newankubadde gukyabuzaayo essaawa nga ziizo naye tulina okukkiriza nti Omukama atuusiza wano agenda tukkiriza tumaleko omwaka guno ate tuyingire omupya ate nogwo gutambulire bulungi. Feno mu NUP ne Western Uganda yina okutwaliza awamu eri bakodomi bange tumazeeko omwaka guno n'emitima emimenyefu oluvannyuma lw'okugufiirwamu deputy president waffe Maama Jolly Mugisha ne bannaffe abalala bangi nnyo. Tubasabira Omukama emyoyo gyabwe agiwumuze emirembe ne famire zaabwe ayongere okuzigumya. Guno mwaka gubadde gwa mbirigo, gubadde gwa kugezesebwa, gubadde mu ebyokuyiga bingi nnyo, gwolese ebintu bingi nnyo, naye mu bisinze okutukwata amaaso gaffe mwaka guno bye bino wammanga omuli obuli bw'enguzi n'obulyake obukutte ejjembe. Mwalaba ng'obuli bw'enguzi ate bwasinga kukwata jjembe mu parliament. Speaker wa parliament mukyala Anita Among mwamulaba bwe yevubika ssente z'omusolo eziri mu buwumbi, ate ekyennaku ng'ataasibwa abo abali balina omusiba. Mwalaba nga n'amawanga ag'ebweru gyatereka ssente zabbye gamuwaayo ne gamulabisa ne naakuumibwa gavumenti ya Mwai Museveni obutabitebya. Ekyo nno kyaleetera n'abavubuka ab'enjawulo, kubanga okumala ebbanga ddene nga tubyogerako nga bagamba bannabyabufuzi aba NUP just tebakolagana naffe, naye mwalaba ng'abavubuka ab'enjawulo nga tebalina ggwanga libakiikirira oba kibiina kye bakiikirira nga bavuddeyo okwekalakaasa olw'obubbi obulyake buli mu parliament, era abayikalakaasa nga baagala okutambula okutuuka ku parliament. Bangi ku bo abasukka mu 100 bakwatibwa, bangi basibwa ne balwa mu komera, bangi batulugunyizibwa. Ekyennaku tinaabamu bavaayo ne bategeeza nti baali basobezeddwako, banoono benjogerako balenzi, naye baali basobezeddwako agasajja agagwenyufu ate nga gasirikale. Kati teebereza abaana ba Uganda okukwatibwa ate ne batuusibwako ebikolwa eby'obuseegu eby'ensonyi nga basibiddwa. Ekyo nno tukivumirira, neera kyongera okulaga Uganda weeri. Ffe nga NUP naffe kino tukyatutaliza era kyatumalamu nnyo amaanyi bwe twazuula nti ne yali deputy president waffe naye mwana wattu yali yenyigidde mu bulyake buno, nga batudde ne speaker wa parliament Anita Among ne bakamishona ba NRM ne beegabira ssente z'omuwa omusolo, nga ye yeegabira emiliyoni 5 z'omuwa omusolo. Bagamba nti baali beewa akasiimo, naye akasiimo omuntu bakamuwanga amaze okukola. Deputy president waffe yali tanaweza na mwaka mu office, yali amazeemu emyezi 11 naye neyeewa akasiimo ka miliyoni 5. Ekyo nno twakivumirira nnyo era twavaayo nga NUP ne tumusaba ssente z'omuwa omusolo azizeeyo, yetondere eggwanga era alekulire okuva ku kifo ekyo gyali akoledde emisango egyo, kubanga ffe twamulonda okugendayo. Era nga bwe kyasuubirwa gavumenti ya Mwai Museveni yagaana negamba tulina buyinza bumugjayo era nemukuuma, era gwe twogerera newankubadde ffe twamulonda bamulemeza mu kifo kyetwamulonda, naye twakola omulimu gwaffe nga bwe twalina okukola era netwegaana ebikolwa ebyokubanga tukiririza buli ake tukiririza kwezi tukasinyiza muwa musolo nga National Unity Platform. Twongedde okulaba embeera y'ebyonfuna mu ggwanga enzibu ennyo, enyigiriza ennyo, nga tumaliriza tulabye nti abaana bangi bagenda mu nsi naddala ez'Abawarabu okukola emirimu eginyoomebwa. Zandibadde nti bagenze kukola, naye tufuna lipooti nyingi nnyo, abangi batuusibwako ebikolwa eby'ensonyi n'abalala ne badda nga bafudde. Ekyo kyongera tulaga embeera y'ebbula ly'emirimu n'ey'obwavu eri mu Uganda gye tulina okulwana ennyo okukyusa. Naffe kennyini kyongera tulaga eddimu lye tulina ng'abakulembeze singa tuba tumaze okugjako Museveni. Kuba tulina eggwanga tonnyo, tewali mirimu ate n'ebyenfuna biri mu binnyo nnyo. Ekimu ku bisinza okuswaza mu bibaddeyo omwaka guno ye national census oba okubala abantu okubaddeyo. temutandika kubuuza tinga twafunye abakulembeze ababi abatatusana. Nze Museveni mwewulira zajja yajja oba ye oba ani. Anyway, nze wendi lw'abana Uganda naye sinzeka tekiri ku Kyagulanyi. For me, whenever and wherever there's a role for me in this fight for freedom, it's my humble submission that I'm available. More particularly about his recent statement that police should shut down any events that are purported to be critical of either his father or him or his family. Well, to see a person that is occupying the highest office in our military making such a reckless and immoral statement. If Uganda was a functional state, that person would have been dismissed, would have been forced to resign as soon as he made that statement. He should even be court-martialed because that is illegal. But in Uganda, Museveni thinks he's the law, his son thinks he's above the law. They all think the law is under them. That's why he can say all that nonsense and goes scot-free. That is where we are. That is Uganda under Museveni. I mean, if Uganda has a justice system, if Uganda is under the rule of law, then anybody that commits a crime should be apprehended and prosecuted. But for the son of General Museveni, just because he's son of the president and head of the military, to take his drink and give any careless order, I think it's another sign of not only a failed state, but a rotten state.